Hello everybody, this is JackBeat1024 and welcome to episode 24 of our Dynamic Factory Let's Play series. So I had a quick check of last episode's video and the light didn't turn off like I expected it to. So we're going to start checking why that didn't happen. In fact, it should have just turned off just then, and you can see we've still got 5 on, so it definitely isn't doing what it should be doing. So these all look correct. The only annoying thing is now I need to actually wait for a train, or I can make my own train signal. Yeah, I can't be bothered waiting for a train, so let's just pretend there's a train, and so that I can easily see if this stuff is working, connect a light to it. If there's anything that's not 0. Doesn't seem to be working as expected. Okay, why aren't we getting... Oh, our set isn't set. Well, of course you're not going to be outputting an R value, so that would have been useless. It's quite possible that all of our memory cells are full. Let's quickly just fix that up. Okay, so I saw that one flash, but I didn't see this one up here flash. Now the red line, yep, the red line should have our... Oh, it's not destination, that's the issue. It's signal train at station. Okay, so that partly worked. That we actually got a signal through, but we wiped everything on this channel. That shouldn't have happened. Well, where's our train at? It's probably unloading. Okay, we'll make our own signal. Everything greater than 0. Negate everything. And which number are you at? You're the 501. Oh, that's annoying. So this is 256 will do. That'll tell us which station. Okay, good. And it's disappeared from the top row. You have a negative. That is not correct. And that's why it's not keeping it. Okay, that's good. Where'd my... Did I get rid of the train combinator? I must have. That looked correct. But that's still got a value of -1000. Okay. Simple fix for that. That is 0. Disconnect that output. And I can see what value is getting stored in this memory cell. Try to figure out why it's getting a number 4 times what it should be. Minus 1,200. This signal's not pulsed. That could be part of the issue. So we'll disconnect that there, connect it here. It's a positive value, so we can just use our normal pulse generator. Hopefully that'll fix up on the value. Just one up here to get rid of data in the memory cell. And why is this one not acting the same? That's the second thing we're going to have to look into once we're getting the correct value through. Yep, minus 256. Okay, that one's working fine. This one doesn't seem to be getting a value. It should be getting it off this green line here, which should be from this one. And yep, you're definitely getting a value in. In fact, that would be lining up this light, isn't it? Yeah, so the light's turning on here. Or it was. Oh, we're probably filled up all of our memory banks again. Okay. There we go, yeah, it's correctly set up now. I know what the issue is. Your output is not connected. There we go. So that's that one fixed. Should be this one fixed. Good. So that's that all fixed. Now the only issue I can think of is if we send 2 trains to the same station before this has ticked around. That would cause this value to go negative. Yeah, that would be an issue. So yep, for that what we're going to do, so we'll have an SR latch here. When it's set, SOV1, we'll turn that into a red signal, and we'll connect that to these red signals. So now this also requires this SR latch to be set, And what we'll do is we will, if it's reset, so F is 0, yep. If S is 0, output a red signal here. Put that into a timer. And while red is less than, how long do we want to make this timer? So we're going to have to clear, so that's what, 5 ticks for certain. Then we've got to pass through all this data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. To make it 20 ticks. And lastly, when red equals 1, we will output our set bit. And when this green line had a value, not the green line, sorry, the red line. What is the red line? It's got this signal. When this is greater than 0, we want to reset. Cool. So we've got a 20 tick delay on our setting of our SR latch, and it gets reset whenever we send a train off. Okay. Now this might not actually have enough to... No, that looks like they're all full. Okay. So turn that on. That'll come through. -1. You're not set. Oh, red is 1. There we go. And because it's only 20 ticks, that's 1/3 of a second. So theoretically we could send up to 3 trains off in 1 second, which is, you know, quite a lot of trains in 1 second to be getting sent off. Is this really still below? No, it's not below 12,000. You're gonna have to look at this signal because it doesn't seem to be working quite correctly. So we'll go have a look at that, and then once we can figure out why that's sending us, you know, 5 requests, once that's done we can then go and hook in our reading of the dictionary for our destination. So let's see what we've got over here. So there's less than 12,000 output of red, yep. If S is 0, output red's input count, that's from this SR latch, that's fine. If red's greater than 0, output our input count, that's expected. S is 0, S is not 0, but that's fine because you have more than 12,000. Didn't get hit by a train. That all looks fine. Let's see if there's a request going through. How long is this train going to take to empty? Wow. Okay, I'll do a cut here and we'll get back when this train's emptied. Okay, so here we go, the train's about to empty. It's emptied, it's left. No lights turned on at any point. So I'm not sure where it's getting a request from. Well, it's only down to 4 lights now, so maybe they were just left over. I'll reset it, just to make sure. Because I know it's not about to send a request for some more, so we can just do that. And I left my car down here, which I'm going to need because I'm going to drive to the top station to set up its circuit. And we'll also drive off to pick up some more combinators. Boy, do we need a lot of combinators for this build. So, just get a bunch of wires. We get another stack of each of these. We'll get all the circuits. Okay, so for the circuit to send our request down to this dictionary to see which station this train should be at, it's going to be probably a similar circuit to what we've got up here, because any train can send the request at any time. Just see if I can simplify this circuit by a fair bit. So if we've got a train here, we need to send the train number off at some point in time. So we'll send the train number off. Now there will be two signals we'll send off because we need to know what we're doing. So we're going to send off a train number, and we'll also send off a probably just a maybe even signal locomotives. And this will just be how many stations are requesting it at the same time, because we'll do the same sort of layout as this. So we'll send our two signals, so we can send them on just one line, because we know that these are the only two signals going to be sent. We can check, was this number 1? If it was, everything was sent fine. If it was greater than 1, divide this by that. Check which one's lower. If we're lower, send it again. If we're higher, wait. So it's very similar to this, except while this has to deal with any variation of signals being sent through, we only have to care about 2. So we'll start with the normal pulse generator, so that we can just get our train signal. When the train's at the station, we can just send the signal straight into this, and this we know will send us the request through. So there we go, there's our pulse generator. Now from here, what we want to do, we want 2 of these. Yep. First one is we'll just pass this straight through, not changed. Second thing is, if it's greater than 0, we'll send through our signal locomotives to say we're trying to send some data. So this is the same as this line here, basically. Do I even want to say if we're requesting or not? Yeah, okay, I'll put in a memory cell to say that this one's requesting. So that can go into here. This can loop around. And that's just, if that's greater than 0, yeah. Red is 0, well we don't actually use red, so that's fine. So this just tells us what we're requesting. Okay, that goes to a shared line. That'll go off, down to make the request. And the next step we need to check, here we go. If this equals 1, actually if it's greater than 1, yep, we need to pass through this because we need to start dealing with some values. If it equaled, yeah, we'll put 1. If it equals 1, everything went fine. Output a red, and that can just hook straight into here. On the red line we'll put it. So if that equaled 1, we know our request went through, so we're good. If it's greater than 1, then we need to check what our request was. And we probably need to have a circuit down here that's reading off the green wire, because that'll be our return wire. That checks when it was 1, okay, what did our return wire tell us? Because it'll have told us the destination data that we need to know. Do we care about age? Should we wipe it then? Yeah, okay, I'll think about that in a sec. So there's more than one, we need to output that. Actually, we need to output everything. And we also need a 1 tick delay of what our destination data was. Cool. So if that's greater than 1, how do these things work if you try to do divide by zeros? Okay, it's not outputting anything. Let's change this from a 0 signal to the O signal. And what happens if we change this O to a 0? Okay, just outputs nothing. Cool. So only if it's greater than 1 will you output all your inputs. You'll do that. The next step, we want to get station number divided by the number of signals that sent it and output the station number. And this can pass it on. So at this point, this will be outputting the average, and this will be outputting, well, the average if there's more than one, and this will be outputting what our value was. Yeah, okay. Now we want to check if our value was less than the average. So actually times our value by -1. Then we can compare the two. So if our value was less than the average, adding them up will be a number greater than 0. So if this is greater than 0, then we should resend our signal. So we will send a red value of 1. At the same time, we need to know what our value was, so pass it through, pass it through. Red equals 1. Now I also need to know if this was it, but we can do that in a sec. So combine them together. If red equals 1, output this, and that can just connect to the same line. Or no, actually we'll connect that all the way back to the start. We don't want to reset that, but we do want to set it to those two. Okay, so if we were less than the average, we will resend our data. Now we need to check for more than the average, which is really 2 checks, because it's checking that red is 0, because this one failed, but also checking that this thing here passed. So you just output everything. So if that is greater than 0, we'll output a single red. Give it a delay. So at this point, if both of these are red, then we know. Yeah, okay, so we can do that instead. If red is 2, we know that we were the average, because there was a value and we were below it, the average of it. If it is 1, then we know there was a value, but we were not below it. And if it's 0, then it went through fine. It's 2, now 1. Which we can just talk like that. Thread equals 1. Oop, I want to actually change this. We will have this as red as -2, and we'll have this as red as -1. So we can change these to red as 0 and not be tainting our data lines. Input this as input count. Yep, that goes to a memory cell. While this is greater than 0, output it. Cool. And then we need to read if this is less than 2. Yep. Output a single red. Red is 0. Output everything. Give this a bias of -1 on the red signal. Get this value times it by -1. Pass it back to there to remove it from our memory cell. Okay. Almost done. Now we want the same setup we've got over here. So add them all together. You go to there, to there, to there, to there. Pick these 3 up. Pole's kind of in the way, but it'll do. Each thing, just change it into a value of 1. Each thing, just pass it straight through. Get each thing, multiply it by -2 billion. Just pass each thing through. And then finally, everything greater than 0, pass it through. So that's our reset. Okay, let's figure out the tick delay. So this is on the tick that this happens. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 tick delay to send it back. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's actually perfectly in line. So if we hook that straight up there, that should be it set up. And you can see it's much smaller than the top one, because we don't have to deal with all these different signals and having to separate out only the signals we care about, because we know the exact signals that we care about. So we get our data in, we send it off, we check that no other stations sent it off at the same time. If so, we're good to go. If not, we check we're below the average. If we are, we send it off again. If not, we wait for a clearing, and then we send it off. And that clearing. So that does mean, there we go. So you get the green, green. Actually, no, you'd be on the red line. Yep, you're on the red line. And that has to go and connect up to a spot down here. How are we going for time? Half an hour. Actually, I think it's a minute left because I had that break and then I cut out. Now we need our green input, that goes to there, and we'll deal with that in a sec. Now how does this line actually go? Does it go, it goes through this annoying part here. Let's go, yeah, let's bring it down this way past this iron line here and over to here. So like, that's probably the limit. Okay, there we go. Oh. Hoping. There we go, now it's placing it. And we ran out. That should do. Yeah, I'll drive it back. Running's so much slower when you don't have exoskeletons. And we'll run the green line. So we still need to do the circuitry for the green line at the station. That should be pretty simple. It's just a simple circuitry of did we send a request, was only one request sent, and therefore read what's on the green line. And store that in our memory bank until the train leaves. And the green line's just going to have the destination signal, so 128 times the station number plus which inserter groups are going to be used for unloading. That looks like... oh, that's working fine. And red line, oh that's perfect. Could not have planned that better myself, except we're going to actually use a bit more circuitry up here. So one thing we know is we know that it was only untainted if this is 1. So what we're going to say, if that equals 0, output everything and we'll give it a DC bias of -1. So at that point the only signal coming out of here will be the train number. And that's a positive number that we're getting out of here, so we actually want to invert that to make it negative, because the train number that's stored in our memory banks is positive. So get our train number, times it by -1, output it, and at that point we're done. We've got everything we need. Just put it straight up, look the green line straight up. And we'll do a bit of processing with the green line. What we want is the green line has 2 signals. So our destination number should be on D, yep. And our array index is on A. And is that a negative value for A? Yes it is. So A is less than 0, okay. I mean actually they could have just been arithmetic ones, but that's fine. So our D goes straight back, because that's our D done. How do we do the A setting? You don't have anything connected. Get rid of that light, move it here. Can I connect your red? Yes. So this is going to be a bit of a different sort of memory cell, only because we're going to be... I don't think I can get the red to reach. That's fine. And the reason why this one's going to be different is we're going to have 2 ways to write to it instead of just 1. We're going to have a way to clear each individual line. And so you connect up on the red signal. Yeah. green, 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 green. So if we write anything to either this line here or this line here, it will change our memory. So what we're going to do is we've got our A value. So we want everything, not just our A value. Which also means that we want that value. And some sort of enabler. Okay, so this all looks correctly set up. So that sends back basically just, why is this getting an A value as a signal? Well, because a lot of them have no. Yeah, okay, a lot of them have a zero train, no way. That's what we actually need, is we need our D signal to be greater than 0. Yep. Put that there, and connect all these outputs to there. If we've got a destination, no, if we've got a red signal, make it equal 0, output everything's input count. Just to pull my constant combinators. That it's bias. So at this point we're getting all our inputs. Okay, so we're getting all our inputs. We're getting the station that it was at and our destination signal. Now what we want to do is we want to figure out how they all work to make this signal. So we've got destination as a positive number, train signal as a positive number, A we need to send through as a positive number. So this should actually be times -1, because we want to get rid of those values, which actually gets us our A as a positive value. If we times this one by -1, oh no, because you're passing in the, you'll get 20. We want to pass in -20, yeah, so we can just pass this through as it is. That's our enabler. Yeah, that should be all we should need. So there. So when we read something, what this should do is it should wipe that line of our memory cell, because it will be adding to it the negative of everything it had stored, the negative of the signal train at station, which we're not going to get back because that's over here. In fact, that's got a 1 tick delay, so let's make sure we give that a 1 tick delay. Good. And it's only going to erase it when we get a signal D, because that means that that row actually had some data in it. Okay, how long does it take to do a read then? So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4 tick delay. So our green signal will have the correct value 4 ticks after we do the request. So driving up at night, it's all dark. There we go, okay. So here's the moment that our request happened. Now what we need is we need a circuit that can say, did we just do a request? So that is, this thing will have a value. This green line here would have a value. Yeah, okay, we can just do that. So 4 ticks ago, did we do a request, and were we the only ones to do the request? let's do this. Connect this up here. And we'll say if this is greater than 0, and that's only coming from us, then we know we did the request, so we'll output a red signal. And we'll put a... Now we need 4 ticks ago. So we were the only ones that did the request, but we also need to know what was the result of that, so what was on the red line. And were we the only one on the red line? So there we go. And was that also equal to 1? Output red. I can actually make these both equal to 1. So, on the green line, did we do a request? And on the red line, were we the only one that did that request? So that's 2. So there we go, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a 4 tick delay. At this point, we want to get our green value. We want to get the output of the 4 tick delay, and we want some DC bias so we don't paint it with the red signal. So the red signal here should be -2 from both of these. So if red is 0, output our input counts, and that will output what the destination is. So then that can go over to our train data. So let's just go 1 there, 1 there. Connect that through. I'm going to train here. Okay. So from here we'll set up a memory cell. I don't think I want it feeding back on the same color line. So actually feed back on the red. While red is, oops, there we go. While red equals 0, keep all your inputs. Are we getting data from you? Yep. Output signal T, where does that go? That goes to here. Change that to that signal. Change this to this signal. Put that here. If there is no train at the station, output a red signal, so we reset our memory cell. Good. Our memory cell is going to be constantly reset then. Now, while our memory cell has some data, we know that the D value divided by 128, that is our destination station. That just goes there. And we also know that, I'll just wire it up here. Well, I wire it down here. Well, we're going to need a bunch of these to do this. So we'll do it like this. Now we'll get our D value and we'll mod it with 64. Yeah, so that gets us the remainder of the value divided by 64. So that gets us our 1 to 62 bits. Put that as a D. And we just need 6 lines. Five, 6, just to go that way then. Now, if D and 1 is enabled, then output our 0 signal. D and 1, output that as 1. Yep. D and 2, output that as D and 4. Output that as the 2 signal. D and 8, output that as the 3 signal. D and 16, output that as the 4 signal. And D and 32, output that as the 5 signal. So if our D signal, if our 0 signal has a value, Then that's the 0 track, which track is that? Let's just look at, here we go, this circuit. So 0 track, I have that as the, if we look at our old system, 0 is the furthest away on the side that there are 2. There's 2 inputs here and there's 1 input here, so 0 would be this line here on the further spot, which would be this one. Well, that's a bit confusing doing it like that. Well, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that the nicest way to do it, or would it be nicer to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, okay, I'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be 0 is the closest. So the last step, connect up all our inserters. Ooh, do they fix that thing where inserters would insert in? Well, they unfixed it, didn't they? Would insert in even when enabled. I'll have a look. I know I've got a damaged car, you can stop alerting me. Okay, that should be all our inserters set up correctly. Let's go fix the car. And what are we waiting for? It's collecting our iron plates. Thought I fixed the car, but it still wanted to alert me. Okay, is this all ready to go? We haven't got a request yet. We might not have one of those for a while. Yeah, it's at 17,000. So that's 50 minutes anyway, as we are. So I guess next episode, we'll check that all works perfectly fine. And that way I can just have a break in between episodes while we wait. So for this episode, there we go. We've got our dictionary being able to be read from and erase the lines that are fulfilled. We've got it so that when a train pulls up, actually that's one thing we haven't done yet. When this train pulls up here, we need this green signal to go over to here, but it's on the red line. That's fine. Actually, yeah, I want it on the green line. I'll just give it a diode just to change the color. So there we go, when the train pulls up, this thing will send out a request asking for where it is, on the time that it works. It will then send it into this memory cell over here, which it can then divide by 128 to tell us where the next station is, and mod it with 64 to tell us which row of inserters we want to enable for this particular train. So until next time, this is JackB1024 signing off. Have a good day.